Hi Flosstube, it's Jen, also known as Quirks and Stitches. I wanted to come on and do a little bit different of a filming today. I just wanted to really showcase some of the pieces that my mom, not some, pretty much all of the pieces that my mom finished when I was out visiting her in Ohio. She just is amazing. And I had a whole lot of stuff that was just sitting down in her framing room that we were working to find like the right frame for. And then I took a whole bunch of stuff that I've finished since I've been just kind of finishing lots of stuff this year. So we had an astounding amount of pieces that needed to be finished. And then we just took several days of my visit and just spent matching with frames, and I wanted to show them. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about what the frames are, if they were I'm blurry, purchased or like a thrifted find, which most of them were a thrifted find. We did have a couple that were pre-purchased and a couple that I had taken out, and I'll share a little bit more about that process as I go. The lighting, I'm gonna just apologize, is not great, but I think it's the best lighting I could get to show the frames. So please, sorry. There's like glare on my glasses and things. Just don't look at me. It's not about me. But that's kind of what I was thinking I would do today. There are so many. They're just like surrounding me right now. There's like piles and piles and piles. So I'm gonna try my best to keep this organized, but I didn't even know how to start. So I think I'm just gonna go for it. So again, I am hoping to film, I think I want to film a regular one maybe tomorrow. That would be more of like what I'm working on, what I'm planning to work on, you know, the normal Flosstube thing. But this really, I just wanted to be to show the amazing stuff I came home with that I really can't wait to get up on my walls. So, and it's kind of been a couple weeks already, and it's just time. So here we go. So one of the first pieces, this has been done at my mom's for a while. It's like one of the things I stitched right when I got back into stitching, and it's Tricks and Treats. It's by the Drawn Thread, and they're supposed to be finished into like little bags. I rarely finish things the way the patterns call them to be, but we found this set. My mom had a set of 3 of these frames, and the last time I was visiting I saw them and I was like, that's perfect. Like, they're old, they're plastic, they're like, but there's like distressing on them. We didn't do anything to the frames, it's just kind of how they were. And there's one more, and so I have to figure out if I can maybe get another Halloween-y type thing. I don't know. I just feel like they gave the spooky feel that I wanted for these 2 pieces. So again, this had been stitched years and years and years ago. But Tricks, it's Spiders and Bones by the Drawn Thread. This is gonna take forever, guys. This piece you've seen hanging. I keep it generally like right over there. You haven't seen this one. This is the Brown Bird sampler by Bent Creek. And when I had it up before, I actually think it was this piece was the one that's been hanging up because it's perpetually winter in my house. But it was in a different frame, and it's just an 8x10. So when I was out there, it had been like kind of just a very standard brown frame. It wasn't anything that was like amazing. This one, we found it. I think we found it while I was out there at a thrift store. It's like really old, and it's got the, you know, it's beat up, and I love it. So we decided to swap them out for this. So my mom put in the Brown Bird sampler because that's what I figure I'll hang for spring. But I have the whole series stitched. I didn't know which one would be spring and which one would be summer, so I also have the Bluebird sampler, and I think I figured this was more spring and this was summer. Bird people, help me out. I have no idea. And what I do is she has them all finished on the boards. So I have this one, Cardinal sampler, and then I also have the Blackbirds somewhere with my other stitching. And I will just like on the back, I'll just kind of pop these out with pliers and then slide the other piece in that I want to display. And that's how I do a lot of the pieces that I'm just swapping out the piece and keeping the frame the same, which helps with, it's not so much to store, although it's, if you find a good frame, it's a pain to try to change them all the time, so we've kind of gotten out of that habit. These we actually just found in her house while I was there. They had been finished a really long time ago. Back when I started stitching, I really wanted to get into the like finishing things in the hoop. I don't stitch in a hoop, but I like the idea of it being finished that way. So I have no idea what this pattern is. I think it was from one of the Just Cross Stitch Halloween highlighted ornament, not ornament because that's the Christmas one, but just their Halloween edition. So it's, yeah, I don't know what the pattern is, but I like it. I need to like hot glue around the back so that it's secure. We also found this one finished very similarly, which this was in her pile of things to finish for me. So I had forgotten that I stitched it. This one's done on a linen. This one's done on like a Monaco. I had seen Priscilla and Chelsea doing their stuff on Monaco, so I was like, oh, I'll try it. I don't love Monaco. And actually, if anybody wants this and wants to finish it for themselves, please just shoot me a message and I'll send it to you, because I don't need two of the same piece. But it was like, oh, I don't have any memory of stitching that multiple times. Oops. I feel like there's no cohesive pattern to this. So, this is Olga's Tart by Plum Street Samplers. And it's supposed to be, the pattern calls for it to be finished in like a little tart thing. I didn't stitch it on the called for fabric. I don't know what it was what size it was supposed to be stitched on. I think I stitched on a 35 count. And we found this frame down there and I was like, that is perfect. It did cut off a little bit of the pumpkin, but I don't think it matters. Sometimes I'm okay sacrificing some rows of stitches if the frame is just the perfect frame for it. So this one, I love the way he turned out. Yeah, I think it's the perfect frame and it fits it so well. So I was super excited. I was like, sometimes you go down to the frame room and you're just like, oh, let's play. Let's put this piece on top and see. And it was a total like, no, this isn't gonna work. And then I was like, wow, it does. So yeah, I love that one. Okay. This was a non-thrifted frame. This one we went to Craft Gallery out in Findlay, and I saw the frame and it's totally not my style. Like it's way like more elaborate and ornate, but I put it on this piece and I sorry, and I love it. It's hard to tell in here, but there is like a hint of orange in the frame that really pops the pumpkin. And again, this is called to be finished as a pillow, and I thought that's what I was going to do. I was like, okay, this was easy. This will be like a good trial run to see if I can finish sewing something. See if my mom can like show me how to finish sewing something, because yeah. But I really like it. And it's really little. It's a 4x4, I think. So it's tiny, but it just, I don't know. I love it. So not a thrifted frame, not a made frame. Like it was one that was hanging in the store and we just kind of put it over the pieces and I was like, oh, okay. And that's Alphabet Pumpkin by JBW Designs. It was one of my Stitch Madness pieces for this year that I finished in March. This is another piece that has been sitting in my stash that has been done forever. It's Red-Winged Blackbird by Bent Creek. And when I had stitched it, I had figured my plan was to stitch this one and then to mirror the design and stitch another one so they were facing each other, finish them on in pillows, like little hangy pillows, and then put them like on my cabinets in my kitchen. And I never mirrored it, and then I don't love to stitch the same thing again, so I just didn't ever go back to it again. Stitched years and years and years and years ago. So we found this frame. It's kind of green. It's hard to see in the light. We didn't do any distressing or anything to it. It was how it was, and I felt like the green highlighted the leaves good, so we kept it. Because my mom did some chalk painting and things like that for some of the frames too. But yeah, that wasn't one of them. This one is just a standard. I don't do a whole lot with just standard like picture frames, but this is just a regular 4x6 frame that you would get at like a Michael's or something like that. It's got like a texture to it. This is the Bluebird Sampler and the Bird series by From the Heart Needlework by Nancy. And I have 3 of them done. I'm still waiting for, I'm not waiting, I just haven't started it yet, to do the Goldfinch one. But I have also the Cardinal sampler and Blackbird sampler. And these are the same as like that bird one from Bent Creek, where I just pop out the back and then I can put them seasonal. And I do Blackbird for fall, Cardinal for winter, blue, and again it's the blue and the gold. I don't know which one's summer, which one's spring. I decorate with birds. I don't like birds. I don't know anything about birds. There's some really pretty robin eggs at work the other day. That was exciting. This is Silhouette Owls, Halloween Silhouette, something like that, by Eileen. I can't. I'll link it below. I'll try to get all the designers' names and things down. But it's done on like an orange linen. It was, again, done years ago. One of the problems that sometimes my mom and I run into is we'll forget about the embellishments. So like I don't put them on since she does my ironing and all that kind of stuff. I generally will just give her the pieces, and she doesn't always know. I also don't know how to do French knots. That's a goal I have to learn. So she'll do those. So some of my pieces are missing French knots because she doesn't know the patterns. So if she gets like ambitious and is framing things when I'm not there, they miss. But we did remember the little embellishment on this one. And this frame, it was chalk painted. She did it in the black, and I think it's perfect. Like, I think it highlights the shape, everything just right for this piece. Gives it that kind of spooky Halloween feel. Yeah, I like owls. I don't know anything about owls either, but they're all over my house. This was another Stitch Madness finish. They do have embellishments generally on the designs that hang here, but I didn't want to do it for this one. I have a lot of these birds done, and it's one that I could swap out very easily. It's just a swap outable frame, but these frames were, I think, IKEA. Like, they're really cheap and inexpensive. And I sit it on like a little easel thing, and so it doesn't hang or anything. So I have most of them just finished into the frame it is. It's Summerbird by Heart and Hand. And I think I've said before, I have St. Patrick's Day, I have Halloween, I have Christmas. I have the whole series to do. I just think they're sweet. I think they're cute. And this is one of the pieces I generally will stitch on Aida. Typically I'm a linen person, but I like these. I think I like them better on Aida than not. However, this Aida I'm not crazy about. This was like a light fiddler, and I like more of the oatmeal-y. And I got the tube at Joann's, and then I cut all the pieces, and I feel like I'm wasting it if I don't stitch it. This is Quaker Ghost by Bent Creek. Again, one I've had stitched for years. Very simple frame, but it's old, and just kind of, I really like the old thrifted frames. Like, I love the idea of finding something and using it now. I don't know anything about this frame. This was something by Threadworks Primitives. I don't remember the title of the pattern, but I have had it stitched for years, and the frame's just really, I feel like it complements the piece well. I don't do a whole lot with just like brown wooden things, but I feel like this works for the style of the piece. I believe it's just an old thrifted frame. I don't know how to tell if I don't know if it's old or if it was one that she like just had at her house. But it was in her stash. We didn't like go out and buy this one. This one, I really, so she organizes all her frames kind of by size, kind of by like shape. And so I had a bunch of square pieces. So we went through and it was like, okay, let's pull out all the square frames and let's put out the square pieces and we'll try to match. And she pulled out this frame and I was like, there is no way that I'm going to like that on any of my pieces, because it's just a bizarre looking frame. The coloring is not mine. No. And we pulled it out and she kind of was like, well, let's try it and then we could paint it if we need to. And so we laid it on the piece and it's perfect. Like it's this like silver black showing through. It like, I don't know, I love it. Like it match. I feel like it gives the feel of the wings of a bee. And it's the perfect size. And it just, I think it works so well for I'm trying to not get a glare on it because it's very shiny. But I was totally blown away that it wasn't something we ended up painting. Because I really didn't think that it was going to be right for it. That's why you should always try. You always have to like put them up to it and see. This one, I have all of Brandon's pieces in another pile because I figured maybe my next Flosstube I'll get him to like jump on. But this one, it was stitched by Brandon. This was one of his first pieces on linen. He stitched it for me for Valentine's Day. I have an obsession with robots. I do. Really want a robot tattoo. Anybody that's like artsy, if you can design me a robot tattoo. I want a little band-aid on its hip because I had my hip replaced and then I'm kind of robot, you know. I don't know. I love robots, so binary kind of goes with that. So he did the binary heart for me. It was just a standard, again, with the square frames that my mom had, and she chalk painted it black. Sorry, Brandon, for not keeping it with your other stuff. I have a whole pile ready for him to talk. This one I love, and I love this frame because it was my grandfather's. So I have a couple that were in my grandparents' house, but like I can picture the picture of him as a baby in this frame, and it's just, I think it works great for it. So this is Deer House by Carriage House or Kathy Barrick, I forget which one. I think, I don't remember. And it's perfect, I think. It's very old, very falling apart. It's stained a little bit, the fabric, so I had to be really careful with it. But yeah, and this piece, it was so much fun to work with. I loved stitching this so much. Yeah, if you haven't stitched this yet, do it, because it's a fun stitch. Guys, this isn't even like half of what I came home with. Like, this is ridiculous. Simplicity by Little House, I believe. Again, this is one of them, kind of like that 1829 owl one, that I don't know where the frame came from. It could have just been one that Mom picked up at a craft store. It could be, yeah, I think this one was probably purchased because it has like writing on the back, but it's her writing, so she will sometimes just measure her frames and have them. I learned like how to measure because I stitch a lot and I'm fairly okay at it, but all this finishing stuff is complicated. Oh, there's something on it. Sorry. This one you can kind of see I'm kind of bad at like clipping my edges. You can kind of see it through the linen, so you can tell. But I stitched this years ago. I love it. I think, like I said, I'm not a real big spring or summer stitcher, so anything that I can stitch that actually I like to look at is nice. And like is like my color schemes, because so much of it is just like the really bright pastels, and I'm not a pastel person. I like dark. Luck Be With You by Homespun Elegance. This was another Stitch Madness finish. This frame, it was also, I think, called to be finished as a pillow. And this frame was another craft gallery purchase while we were out there. And I think it works really well for it. Like the coloring it's darker, again, a darker brown that I'm not usually totally sold on, but it picks up the piece really well. So. And my other St. Patrick's Day finish. This is Irish Cream Latte by Cassie something that I'm not even going to try. It begins with a B. And I love this piece. I started it several times on different linen, and also it called for a whole lot of specialty stitches that I didn't do. I don't love specialty stitches. I like cross stitch because I like cross stitch. So I tend to, unless it's just like sporadically through, I will just substitute. So like I think like all these rows and things, maybe this one was supposed to be some sort of other thing. Also in those Bent Creek birds that I have usually up there, they call for specialty stitches too, and I don't do it. It's my like little rebellion that I do when I stitch. No, I'm just gonna stitch. But yeah, I think it's really sweet. There's a couple other ones of these that I think I'd like to do. Oh, I didn't talk about the frame at all. It was just a blurry something. Regular frame that was chalk painted white, and like distressed by my mom. I haven't moved on to painting yet. Maybe someday. This is You'll Be Kissimated. Kissimilated. Doctor Who. Done on Ada. Done years and years and years ago. But Christmassy, geeky. Mirrors my life. Another Christmas finish. This is Peace on Earth by Kathy Barrick. This frame was in her it was in her craft room for the entire time I was there, and we kept seeing it. But sometimes when we get things from the thrift stores, we don't take out, or she doesn't take out the inside of it. So we had been looking for a square frame that this could fit in. We were not finding anything that we liked, and on our last go through, like the day before I was gonna leave, I saw this frame and it had like a sports print in it that like you get from like, you know, the ones that are already done, and it was just a sports print. And I never thought to try this frame with this piece because of what was in it. So we took it out and I put it on and I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. Not only is the size perfect, but the color is perfect for this owl. It like highlights the brown and the red, and you just gotta try. Like buy things at the thrift store, keep a stash if you have the room and the availability to do so. And then just play. Like, it's so much fun to go down and like be like, oh, will this work? No, that's terrible. Oh, will this work? Oh, yes. So this was a total shock to me. I really, we even were taking the piece with us when we were going to the cross stitch stores to try to like see if they had a pre-done frame or if we were gonna order one. But yeah, unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. Okay, guys, now these are all over my table, and I still have a whole bunch to show you, so I don't know how this, and these are the bigger ones now. Okay. Neighborhood Row, Bent Creek. This was one of my Stitch Madness pieces. This is not a thrifted frame. My mom had done, I've done this one, Christmas row. I've done the St. Patrick's Day row. I've done Spooky row, which you'll see in a minute, and I've done the Quaker Noel row, which, as a spoiler, doesn't have an L in it. And I was like, I'm stitching it, and I'm like, there's no L in this alphabet. This one does. The Quaker Noel one doesn't. And I'm going through, and I'm just like, this is really weird. Why did they just skip L? No L? I didn't get it. It took me a while. But this is Neighborhood Row, and it was not a thrifted frame. My mom got the frame for this piece. And they will be swapped out seasonally. I like this one because I can have it up pretty much anytime I don't have a seasonal thing to go in it. I don't feel like this has to be a season. No piece. And I'm trying to like do more of those sorts of things so it's not so awkward on my off seasons. So these little interludes are a little awkward. This is Spooky Row. And this one was the one that had no L, Quaker Noel in it. And it's actually right behind it. So all I have to do when it's time to swap is switch the order of the frames in it, which I thought was a really clever thing that my mom thought of. But I love this frame for this piece. I think it highlights the Halloween really good. This was another example of where I need to learn French knots because it's missing a couple. I go back and forth with Bent Creek. Some of the stuff I really, really like, and some of it I'm like, that is not my style at all. Kind of like Lizzie Kate. I'll do a lot more Bent Creek stuff than I will Lizzie Kate, though. I know I'm in the minority, so sorry. This is Spring Jack by Plum Street Samplers. Had him done for a really long time. The linen was terrible. I don't know what it was. It was awful to work with, but I really love him. And it's a chalk painted frame that was in her stash. Purchased, I think, from a cross-stitch store. There's a barcode on the back, so I don't think it was a thrifted find. It is like a little beat up here. I guess somebody could have taken it to the thrift store with a barcode on the back. It is a little beat up. It's missing a little of the things, but I feel like that's what gives some of these charm. Chalk painted, I think I said that. Royal Crow by Mind is Liking. I don't remember who it's by. This one has some detailing on it, and it was chalk painted as, was it chalk? Yeah, it was chalk painted and then distressed. But it has some of like the original color coming through. I like it. This piece was not one of my favorites to stitch, but I really like the way it is finished, and I'm looking forward to having it up in my house. I like keys too, so I try to do stuff with keys. I'm thematic. I was a teacher. ABC XYZ by Poppy Creations. This was another Stitch Madness one. And we took this, it was a red frame, and she painted it white, and then distressed. I'm trying to get where you can really see. Some of the red really pops through, and it's like right around, like on the edges, so it highlights kind of the red that was there. I like this one. I didn't love the stars, the colors they are. Kind of thought it was a little bit too much for me, but I really do like them. I stitch Halloween. Stitch a lot of Halloween, and these last 4 frames are, I still am blown away that we found these frames, had to do nothing to them, and they match the pieces and the style and the like what the piece needed to accent the piece so perfectly. I can't. These are just perfect. This is Toil and Trouble by Plum Street. And this frame was my grandparents as well, and it was holding some sort of Hebrew prayer or something from my grandfather. And I don't know if we might have put the like what was originally in it in the backing. I can't remember, but it is perfect. Like, we didn't have to do anything to this, and it is exactly the right frame for this piece. And like I said, I do not find a frame and like, oh, I know what I'm going to stitch in that. I go backwards. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stitch this. I'm going to stitch this on whatever count I feel like stitching it on, and then hope and pray and cross my fingers that I'm going to find a frame that works. I got really lucky. I'm going to save. Oh, there's 5. I didn't count right because one was hiding. And it's not a Halloween one. So we'll get this one over there. This is Chirpy by Barbara Anna. I had this one done for a while. I put my birth year in the bottom. I think he's really cute, and the frame is just like whimsical enough to match the style of it. It's like, it's hard to tell here, but it's kind of like a yellow. It matches with like the suns really well. It's not like it's not as yellow as that, but it looks kind of white here. But it's like it's more yellow. My descriptive words are amazing. They're not. Okay. This one was Hocus Pocus by Prairie Schooler. I swapped around the inside things and did some of the ones from the back instead of the original what the pattern calls for. And this frame has a much bigger, so I finish things very close to the borders. I don't like a whole lot of fabric showing. I usually, when I stitch, I only give myself about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of allowance. So my mom really had to stretch this piece because there wasn't a whole lot of room to like wrap around the board. It is wrapped a little bit, but not much. I think she used sticky board with this one because just to try to get it as flat as it could since she couldn't stretch it real well. But this frame, like it's perfect. And so like it's hard to see on this, but it like goes, it's curved, so it's like a little thicker, more three-dimensional, I guess. And we didn't chalk paint it, it's how it was. It works so well. And this is what I love, is like you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on frames. Like you can get really lucky like this. I mean, you have to like be like my mother and like have a stash, but this is another one that I felt it was okay to sacrifice some of the stitches in order to have the frame for it. This is Halloween Tree, or one of them, by Barbara Anna as well. And I've had this stitch for years. I didn't love the fabric choice I made for it, so it just kind of sat in my stash for a while. I thought I had it finished, and I posted pictures of it, and I had forgotten this little bat, so I had to go back and do him. I hate the metallic threads. Hate. And so all the keys are in the metallic, and it was a chore to stitch, but I love it. And so you can see, like, the bottom row, a little bit of the stitching got cut off, but I don't think it affects the piece at all. And the frame is perfect. It's like spooky and old, and it's like that. It comes out. Descriptive words. It's a long weekend. I want to use description. This one is my favorite. I think this frame, the fact that we found this frame, and I think this was a frame we found while I was there. Maybe. I don't know. I have had this piece stitched for years and years and years and years and years and years. But I don't like back stitching. I'm lazy. And I could not bring myself to get the back stitching done. So this is Town of Halloween by Primitive Hare, and I had everything done except for the spiderweb and the broomsticks, and it was called to do the spiderweb in 2 strands, and I think that was what was throwing me off so much. And I can do like regular back stitching, but I have a really hard time with like long stitches and getting my tension right. I don't know. I did the piece on earth long stitches fine, and I've gotten better, but this one, it was just one of those like mental blocks. So my mom finished it for me because she's amazing. So she did the back stitching, and then it also calls for like little individual like stitches kind of all throughout, like I guess stars or something, but I didn't do them just because my fabric was so kind of see-through that I knew you'd be able to see it. But this frame, and I'm gonna try to get, is perfect. Like and again, this was one that was called to be finished in a pillow. It's very thin, like there's nothing to it. It's very fragile, and yeah, I love it. Like I couldn't have bought a frame that would have been like special ordered a frame that would have given this piece the feel that this frame does. So those are my finishes. My mom was awesome. She ironed and showed me how to iron and took her time and went with all my whims and painted, and like we had to remember which frame went with what. She sent me a picture of one of her pieces, and she was like, help, somebody stole my frame, because she thought I came home with the frame for it. I didn't. She found the frame, but you know, she graciously has shared her stash with me, and just it was a phenomenal time, a phenomenal visit, and that's not even all of it. There's still more at her house. We also ordered from Craft Gallery. Sorry, I'm getting fidgety. We ordered a frame for the Quaker Christmas 2 by Bygone Stitches that I did, and we ordered a frame for the Edgar Allan Poe one by Cross-Eyed Cricket that everybody's doing. I've had that done for years, and so they came in, so I'm really excited. We just order the frames and then she does the framing work most of the time. So I think those came in this week, and so she was going to get them, which yay, more things to show off, I guess. So I'm just in like crazy stitching mode right now. I have like 27 orcs in progress, and I'm just really trying to get through them as quickly as possible, while still enjoying the stitching process. So just a couple of more things to highlight today, because I don't know when I'll be filming next. Like I said, I think I said on this one, it might have been the one that I stopped and started again. I'm gonna try to do like a regular Flosstube, maybe tomorrow, maybe next weekend, I don't know. But while I was away, Cindy from YouTube, and she's also on Instagram as Cindy C Stitches, has been commenting and saw that I was stitching my Elizabeth by Carriage House Samplers, and I had Elizabeth and the one with the cat, Molly, I think, and she messaged me and she was like, I have Margaret, Mary Margaret, and if I'm never gonna, I don't think it's one that I'll ever stitch, so I'd love to share it with you. And so when I got home from Ohio, I had Mary Margaret in the mail, which was so nice. The kindness in this community is something that I will just never tire of. So thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate it. I did pick up, I think it's Susanna, while I was away, and that's a whole nother video because the amount of patterns I came home with is like a little ridiculous too. I don't even think I could do all of those because it's like a little insane. But thank you so much. So excited to stitch these. It's given me a little bit more of a gumption to stitch, to finish Elizabeth so that I can do the other in the series. I don't know if I'll do them all on the same fabric or if I'm going to swap it around a little bit. I have a feeling if I swap it around, I might want to restitch Elizabeth. Like I said, I don't love restitching things. As a reminder, if you want this piece, it's a little ornament with an owl. It's done on Monaco. Just shoot me a message and I'll put it in the mail, and it's yours. Thanks, guys. Keep stitching. I look forward to seeing all of the things you're doing. I've loved the Stitch Mania updates that people have been putting out there. Oh, also thank you to Farm Girl for plugging me a little bit. So I appreciate it. I loved watching I watched the one video, and you know, I'm trying to keep up with all of the Flosstubes. It's been a really busy week at work. I'm hoping next week's going to be really busy too. So I'm just taking this weekend to really decompress and find my focus again. I'm starting a Whole30 probably tomorrow, which means no wine, which is sad, but will also mean maybe more stitching time because I won't be so imbibed. So we'll see. I've tried lately and it hasn't worked, but I'm figuring it was because I didn't have any iron in my body and I had no follow through for anything. So we will see. Thank you all. I love stitching with you. So keep stitching. Bye, guys.